That unbelievably small remark by Secretary of State John Kerry just about set Senator John McCain on fire. He blasted out a tweet calling Secretary Kerry's statement unbelievably unhelpful. Here's former Congressman Allen West. Nice to see you, sir.
Always a pleasure to be with you.
All right, your thoughts. We've got John Kerry, Secretary Kerry, rather, saying on one hand, unbelievably small, and Senator McCain thinking that's unbelievably not helpful. I know it's just sort of an off-the-cuff remark, but everything Secretary Kerry says is looked at worldwide under a microscope.
Well, what you have to understand, I was an artillery officer, and we always looked at what we call effects-based targeting. And so when you're telling me as a planner, as an artillery officer, you want something that's limited, you want something that's proportional, it's going to be short, not in long duration, it's going to be unbelievably small, that doesn't help me in planning any type of strike and any type of operation. And what we have to understand
is... It sounds like a cap gun to me, by the way.
Well,
a little bit. I mean, if it's unbelievably small, I'm not so worried if I'm on the receiving end.
Yeah.
Unbelievably small, I think that, okay, well, I just got to get into a bunker.
You're
I have to get into a bunker.
Absolutely. And so when you talk about degrading his capability to deliver chemical weapons, what you're talking about then is taking away artillery systems that deliver chemical weapons. Artillery tubes, multiple launch systems, rocket systems, missile systems. Those are mobile systems. And all of this talking, those things have already been, dispersed. They've probably been put in the neighborhoods where the risk of high collateral damage is going to be happening. So Tomahawk cruise missiles really can't go after these mobile type of targets. Now, the only way that you can go after mobile type of target is if you have someone that's on the ground lasing and tracking that target so you can bring a precision guided munition on it. You can attack a chemical weapons stockpile, and probably most of that stuff has been dispersed as well. And now you have to look at this. Is it possible that the rebels could have used some of these chemical weapons, turned them into improvised explosive devices? That's a possibility as well. Folks are talking about bombing and cratering airfields and the shelters and things of that nature. Then you're going to tip the balance. If he can't use his Air Force, then the rebel forces, which are mostly aligned to Al-Qaeda, they're going to get an upper hand. So it's such a convoluted strategy that no one can really understand.
Well, I think that when Secretary of State John Kerry made that statement, I think that he's trying to convince the American people and members of Congress that this is something that is smart international interest and the right thing to do. I think he forgets that, at least we assume, that Syria is listening as well.
Yes.
He forgets that that in his eagerness to sort of persuade the American people of the president's plan, that I think that he forgets that, and I think that's why Senator John McCain was so upset about it.
Well, let's look at Israel and how they contended with it. Think about when they went in against Saddam Hussein and his nuclear weapon systems capability. They've been in Syria before. They've gone and they struck a supply train for Hezbollah. They don't announce it. They use their intelligence, they track it, they hit it, and guess what? No one says a thing. And that's the way that you have to do it.
Would you have been in favor of this had this been the chemical weapons were set off apparently on August 21st? If on August 22nd, unannounced, which means the president didn't go to Congress, didn't get any consultation, but unannounced, that he just went, gave the order, and we went over and did essentially what we're going to do now if we attack? That
would have shown a decisive action to say that we already have the resources in place and we have launched an attack because we don't believe that it is in the good interest of international stability and also humanitarian beliefs that we should have chemical weapons launched. And this is the action that I took. End of story. And I think that people will understand that. But when you sit back and you have this decision making by committee, I can do it, but yet I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go to Congress and get approval. That does not show decisive action. Now, look at what happened in Libya. This is my concern, the unintended consequences. We went into Libya, we didn't have congressional approval, and look what happened in the second and third
I know there's some objection of the president going to Congress. I actually think it was the right thing to do, the constitutional thing. I think it's sort of interesting, though, Secretary Kerry says that it's not war. I do consider this war.
Well, it is war.
When you lob missiles at somebody, just because if I got missiles lobbed at me, I would think that was war.
It's an act of war. It's an act that brings about, if you take that action, you have to expect, as you saw Bashar al-Assad say to Charlie Rose, there will be a reaction. Now, are you prepared for the counteraction to that? And that's the kind of decision synchronization matrix that the administration should be going through, and that's what the American people are looking for. But when you look at Libya and the fact that we went in there, we toppled, you know, Gaddafi, but now we have radical Islamists all over the place. We lost an ambassador, we had an attack on an embassy, and now terrorists are being trained there to go fight in Syria.
All right, we don't have a minute left. President Putin, your thoughts about President Putin sort of stepping in and taking a remark by Secretary Kerry and what seemed like a little bit of an aside, and now that may be a way to wrestle away those weapons from Assad.
The KGB guy now looks like the only adult in the classroom. And really, if you want to take away the ability to use those chemical weapons again, you have to secure the chemical weapons stockpiles. If Russia wants to continue to have a warm water seaport in the Mediterranean, then it is their problem to solve. I don't think Putin wants to see Syria fall into the hand of radical Islamists, and I don't think he wants to see us become engaged there either.
So this is good news that Putin's stepping in.
It's a good news, but the thing is, it makes us look very, very bad because he has stepped up.
Assuming that he can carry it out.
I think that he will if he really does want to, but I think first and foremost he's going to embarrass our president.
Congressman, thank you, sir.
Thanks so much for having me.